And welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I am your host, Regina Partain-Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy and co-founder of the CEO Holy Grail. I am thrilled to welcome a new guest co-host today and a group of panelists. We're going to have so much fun. I can't wait. What a great way to start the new year off. So let me introduce you briefly to our co-host, Miss Corinna Kelley. She is the founder and the CEO of C.R.E.I.D Consulting. And I am really excited to have her here today. Corinna, would you please, first of all, welcome to the show. Welcome. And thank you for being our guest co-host today, making all of this happen.
Definitely. It's good to see you again and to be here all over again.
It's good to see you again as well and to have you back on the show. Thank you. So Corinna, would you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your journey, what's brought you to this place in life, and who you serve and why that's important to you.
Yeah, definitely. So, I was on here last year and it feels like it was a while back, but I'm back again and I am happy to be here and here with some new guests. So I'm Corinna Kelley, and I am, as Regina said, the founder and CEO of C.R.E.I.D Consulting and Coaching. And so who I serve is those who serve others. And these are other leaders, within community health spaces that are looking to make the world a better place. I call them change makers. And so what I'm supporting them in is periods of change and transition. This is definitely a season. And so those that are experiencing those changes and transition and maybe found that the way that they have led before is no longer sustainable. And so I support them in leadership health coaching, which is a combination of what I've been doing for the past 20 years in community health impact and improving the health and the well-being of our communities, as well as utilizing my military adaptability and strategy planning and pairing that with coaching. And so leadership health coaching is a new way to lead sustainably, featuring whole health as really our center. And so supporting those leaders as they move through roots, I call them roots, rhythms, and sustainable growth and into their next chapter of who they are becoming in alignment. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's so important, especially today. We have so many pulls on us, so many things that we're doing. And definitely that can impact our health, our mental health, all of that. So that's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah.
Corinna, would you please introduce each of your guests that you've brought today, our panelists, and have them share a bit about their journey, who they serve, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. So I selected a diverse group, some individuals I have worked with before. Well, all of them I have worked with before in different types of capacities. So I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer McKeever first.
Sure. Well, hi there. Thanks for inviting me to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. So my name is Jennifer, and I am the founder and managing director of an organization called We Public Health, and that stands for Women Entrepreneurs in Public Health. We were founded about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago now, in response to what we were seeing as women in the field of public health struggling to be able to realize their full professional potential. And so women who had experienced sexism, racism, other forms of oppression in their positions or in their work world were not necessarily able to really bring the full weight of their talent to supporting the field of public health. And so Women Entrepreneurs in Public Health is a collective of women who have chosen to go on their own path to really make a difference in their communities and in their world. Who we serve are primarily nonprofit and government organizations that are very mission driven and looking to address the root causes of health inequity, as well as identifying ways to work with community, not for community or on behalf of, but to really work with communities to build health equity and build opportunities for everybody to be healthy. So we form, we have a collective of women that come together. We support each other. We educate each other. We cry, we laugh. We provide a work environment that a lot of us didn't have access to in our previous careers and positions. And by doing that, we allow ourselves to be our best selves and provide our best work to the clients, the nonprofit organizations that we serve. So happy to be here. Oh, and why do we do that? Well, because
why it's important to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think our overarching why is around supporting those, particularly those who are underrepresented, underserved, have been systematically marginalized, to really create a more just and equitable world.
Excellent. Thank you. Corinna?
Yeah, well, thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to turn it to Maudra. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Corinna, Regina, and the rest of the panel. Good afternoon. I'm Maudra Brown. I'm the CEO and founder. I call myself the Chief Health Strategist of MRB Public Health Consulting. And who I serve and why I serve is probably one of the most important questions I've been asked so far in 2026. I will say it has been, transition probably is an understatement. How I started and how I finished 2025 is unbelievable, groundbreaking, transformational. I started my consulting work to help communities to be involved in the work. And in some ways, I replaced my government work with another form of that same work. And that was never my intention. And so it's been such a transformation to show how consulting can change very transparently with colleagues, with friends, with the community. If I had one description for this season, it would be I'm moving from consulting for systems to building an ecosystem in a community with people. The people that I serve, the people that I want to serve in my work are integral to all communities, and that is women. Women are the thermostat of households. They are the foundation of communities for the world. And so that is my mission. It is something that I've run away from, run to, and run back again. I think that is very, I hear a lot of talking, that is very, very, I hear that a lot with consultants and with people that are very passionate in our industry. And my goal in this work is to be transparent in my journey, and hopefully that transparency, that vulnerability will bring community to people and bring them together. And so that's my introduction. Thank you, Corinna, and thanks to the panel.
Awesome.
So if you're not blown away already, we have one more. All doing great work around in their different spaces. And so, Jarmichael, it's your turn.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for having me, Regina. Thank you, Corinna. Thank you to the panel. I'm already excited about this conversation. But my name is Jay Harris, he, him pronouns. I serve as the founder and executive director, or CEO rather, of Engage Recovery. It is an organization designed very similar to what Maudra was talking about, of being with the people, right? Understanding that collaboration is the key to transformation. And we have to start at the community level to see anything and really move forward. I've been blessed to work in a lot of different spaces, primarily on college campuses, and now in the technical assistance space, working with campuses across the state of North Carolina and across the nation as a whole. But one of the things that always comes back to is those who are doing the work on the ground at the grassroots level are the ones who are able to move the needle, but they're the ones who are oftentimes left out of conversations. And so Engage Recovery really is here to help to educate, equip, and empower communities and grassroots efforts to rise above the noise that takes place at the government level. All right, get back to serving people and allowing people to take care of one another in a way that is sustainable and can move forward. Because oftentimes when it comes to the work that I'm involved in very heavily, is grant funded. And the moment that those grants go away, they're disrupted by policy or whatever, what have you, that work oftentimes goes away because there's nothing there to truly sustain the work. And so I'm looking to kind of that mindset, not just in terms of diversifying funding streams, but diversifying how we look at where help comes from and empowering those who have the most power to actually affect change. Corinna mentioned change makers. We call them change agents out here.
All right.
I love it. This is going to be such a great conversation. If everybody will bear with me for just a moment, I'm working on a new feature in this platform, and I'm going to accept someone that's in the waiting room that's part of our audience and see what happens, whether it pops them in here or actually in another room. So hold your breath. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to accept this. This is Elisa Cottrell. Okay. So she is in the waiting room. So I lost the other person though, Maudra. I'm sorry. Tell her to come back and send her a message. Tell her to come back and I'll let her in. So I think that so she's here as a guest. Yes. Yes. Welcome, Elisa or Alyssa. All right. So I think that based on what you've all said, I think a great direction to go for this conversation would be helping other communities do all the things that you're doing. Right? Because as you said, it's as you were saying, Jarmichael, you know, that collaboration is the key to that transformation. You know, just everything that you were talking about there made me think this is where we need to start is how do we help other communities do what you're all doing? So who would like to dive in?
Great question.
Yes.
If I can, I'll say it's really not that hard. I think one of the things that we have not done in our society as a whole, and in this field in particular, has put people on pedestals to believe that if you're on this podcast or if you're on that stage, I can't get there, right? But we all started from pretty much the same spaces. We all pretty much all went to school. We all met, you know, colleagues and networked and went to conferences and started to have these conversations and realized that, oh, Maudra sees the world the same way that I do. Or Corinna sees the world the way that I see it. I mean, Corinna and I actually were at a conference together. She presented, and one day I presented another day. But we left there thinking, oh my God, I cannot leave this space without getting her information and seeing where we can take this further because I can't do this alone. I think that's really where we start, right? Is empowering folks to understand that everyone's voice has an opportunity to be heard. You just have to know, not necessarily the secret handshake, but start shaking hands.
I love that.
I would add being vulnerable. Like it's in our field, especially in public health, there, you know, as you mentioned, Jarmichael, like it really is grant funded. So sometimes people are nervous, they're scared, there's a scarcity mentality. Well, if you get it, then I don't. It really starts with being vulnerable, sending, you know, I think sending RFPs, sending things out to people, sending and collaborating and wanting to join up so that you have success. And that success can help you jointly move forward. I think, you know, there are many organizations out there that are serving those that we want to serve as well. And how great would it be if we could collaborate more from the beginning, memorandums of understanding, memorandums of agreement, just even asking for a meeting. One of my first clients, I have to take it back to COVID, was very much because I just coldly called and emailed them. I said, hey, it seems like we're all going to be struggling. Would you like some help? And he said, I was praying at my computer and then your email came. And if that is not a testimony for collaboration, I don't know what is. It's so, you have to be brave and be adventurous to do those things. And it is scary. It is hard to be vulnerable. It's not my favorite. I'm a type that, I like to keep it close to the chest for sure. But I think this year and other years have taught me that it has always worked out for the better when you're collaborating with like-minded individuals, with like-minded organizations. And ultimately, our main goal is to better the community and people that we serve.
I think about when you asked that question, where my brain went was thinking about the system and the policies and the funders that support us, and really helping them understand the value of collaboration and getting further, because so often in our world, we are given, those of us who apply for funding, you're given X amount of money to accomplish X goal in Y period of time. And in those scenarios, one, it does not foster an opportunity for community to really be engaged in developing their own solutions. But it also doesn't, it makes collaboration sort of secondary, because you've just got to get done what you've got to get done and show that you've made a difference, right? And so I think that, all of us on the call know that, nobody's gone into a community and said, here's what I think you need to do. Let's do it. Let's measure it. I'm out, and have that be a lasting impact. And so my brain goes to really helping those who are setting policy and setting funding priorities understand it may take you longer to get where you want to go, but you're going to go so much further and be so much more sustainable.
I think
so that's what I would think about, is how do we help them understand?
So my question back to you, Jennifer, is how do we get to them? How do we help them? How do we put that in motion? Because I think that's an excellent suggestion. How do we put that in motion so it benefits everybody? And that's for everybody to answer. Anybody?
Yeah, I was sort of processing that. I have probably a few different responses, and I think one is being able to communicate how a collaborative solution is better than a non-collaborative solution. And so that's sort of on us to really communicate about the value and what we've accomplished because we did it this way.
Right.
But I also think there is to what Maudra was saying earlier, is there is a little bit of a vulnerability, or having to step out on a branch to say to this funder or policymaker, look, this is how we got to do it. I know you don't want us to spend time playing games at this meeting, but let me tell you, playing games is what's going to get us where we go.
Come on.
So, being able to take those risks, I think, as an individual is helpful. And then find those funders who are doing that, who are investing in community collaborative solutions.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
Proof of concept is hard to come by, as Jennifer, is speaking to. And I would even say, a lot of people are looking for a quick win. They're looking for, here's the money, do it, and do it, do it in 3 months and it's a wrap. And, are they looking for, and are they communicating that they want something built to last? built to improve. And if that is their communication strategy, then that is how you back plan and really say, well, you said this is what you want. You told the community this is what you want. You know, it's not my first day in politics, in policy. You know, you have to really, it is not normal for public health folks to think in that way, to think, you know, I call it sharky, a little sharky, but it is a return on investment. It is a business case that you are making for their resources, and how best to frame that and how best to manage and promote that is how much you're willing to really, as Jennifer said, put yourself out there and speak to those things as proof of concept.
Yeah. You know, I was having a thought earlier today that you know, a lot of the decision makers on college campuses aren't that much different than politicians, right? You have to speak in dollars and cents, in retention, or whatever the buzzword is that works for the population that you're trying to, or not the population, but whoever's making those decisions and holding those purse strings. And a huge part of that is, okay, this is what you said, as Maudra's saying, right? This is what you said you wanted to accomplish and achieve. Well, if we're able to invest this much time, energy, and effort in actually building that groundswell, again, going back to the grassroots piece, this is what we can accomplish. It might take 5 years rather than 3 months, but the return on investment is going to be that much greater. And you're going to actually be able to plant seeds to see multiple harvests come from this. And it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight, right? And, you know, as I was on the college campus for several years, I was having to kind of give that same spiel even to the students that I was working with, helping to serve. So, hey, we're going to build something today that you're probably not going to see before graduation.
Yeah.
But that program is still there 10 years later.
Yeah. Talk about an ROI. Corinna?
Definitely. Yeah. And, you know, when I think of collaboration, and one thing that comes to mind, and especially like how I, you know, started all of these relationships right here in this room, I think of co-created rhythms, right? Things, it's not necessarily, collaboration isn't a skill, like a communication skill that we enhance. It is a condition that we create based on, you know, that shared vision, that shared goal, the, you know, ability to create this space like you've created, Regina, where it's, you know, psychological safety, where we can communicate and talk about things and open up. And so leaders are very, you know, in any position, you know, individuals who, you know, form that at the grassroots level, as I like what Jarmichael said about, you know, and just finding another individual with that shared vision and that value and creating something. As you can hear, everyone in this room, you know, different entrepreneurs, they started something based off of a passion, off of something that was meaningful to them, and then found others to co-create these spaces and opportunities and bringing each other along. And so you know, collaboration, against at really any level, but it's the condition that we create.
I love that. It's all great. If you were going to make a checklist for a community, for someone in a community that, you know, wants to go down the path that you've all gone, what would some of those things be on that checklist? So Maudra's brain is just going, I can see.
It's a long list.
How a checklist to get started. What would be on that?
Oh man.
Clarity.
I probably shouldn't go first.
Why not?
Listen.
Be vulnerable. Come on. You're amongst friends. Be vulnerable.
Well, you know, I think since we're all in the public health space, one of those things that you could really connect with folks with is, hey, this is the SPIF, right? This is the strategic framework. You know, so we start with assessment. What is out there that what is the problem that you've identified that you think you have the answer to, and who can you get in the boat with you to help you solve that issue?
Oh, I love that. Who can be in the boat with me? I love that.
If I were to start over, Regina, I think, oh, sorry, Jennifer.
I sort of said at the same time, Jarmichael, I think what you just described, my first word was listen. And I think that is when you're assessing and you're listening and not talking.
I would also agree with both panelists. I think listening, I think reaching out to your network. I think sometimes in the beginning, you're so nervous because you have this thing on your heart. You're not sure if it's the right thing. You're scared to talk to other people about it because you don't know if it's a real thing or if it's just, something you're just feeling in the moment. I think talking to a trusted colleague, talking to somebody that you admire, that you're like, man, this gentleman or this lady has such an amazing career, or they're doing something that I think is really awesome. Reach out. People check those DMs and they respond. And so that would be along the lines of communicating and listening. I think reaching out to people and talking about what you want.
Yeah. So you kind of send a message to them that says, I'm thinking about this and all of, spell it out, kind of what you're thinking there. What are your thoughts? Get their feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would add, I think really if I had to say a checklist, the first thing is, who are you and who are you becoming? When I ask this question in coaching, I ask, can you introduce me to the person behind the name? And a lot of individuals struggle with not tying themselves to a title, to an expectation, to an assessment or an assumption of what other people think, but what they think of themselves.
Right.
Who you are becoming is a very hard question for many people to answer. So I would ask, who are you becoming now?
Right.
And everything stems from within and who we are and how we see ourselves, our identity. And then, creating, from that part is, I think, is rooting yourself in that identity and then aligning yourself with, that purpose, that passion will help you, align with the right people on that journey, on that path. But it all starts from within.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It's huge.
Yeah. Jarmichael?
I was just saying that's huge. Like one of the things that I learned early on in like leadership development was to take those inventories, right? Whether it's True Colors, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, whatever that is, take it to get an idea of who it is that you are and understand that. And this is something that I learned in school as well. They're assessments that are descriptive, not prescriptive, right? And so if there's something that you've got your hands on and Myers-Briggs, and it's like, I don't really know if that's all of that is me. Cool, right? You take it as information, you take it as feedback, and you work on the pieces that you want to work on, and you leave the rest. But knowing who you are really is essential. So I appreciate Corinna for bringing that out.
Excellent. What are some of the biggest challenges they're going to face as they start to build this in their communities? Sometimes knowing ahead of time what the challenge is, we can be much better prepared for it and have a solution. So what were some of the challenges you encountered as you started on these journeys?
To collaboration or to the knowing who you are?
I was thinking in terms of collaboration, but the other might be valuable as well, Jennifer.
That's the easier question, I think, than the who you are question.
Yeah.
I think I had a boss say to me at one point that, I don't recall what public health project I was working on, but he said to me that, you're a process person. You're good at the process, but we also have to focus on outcomes. And I just had so much thought about that, and that, the process is what gets you to the good outcomes. And so it's to that earlier, statement I made. If you walk into a community and say, here's what I want you to do, and walk out, what are you going to get? Versus like really paying attention to the process and the building relationships and, authentic engagement and co-creation, as Corinna was talking about, are not to me, that's not the process. That is the thing. That's where they say it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? Like that,
Right.
That's where the work is happening. And the challenge is that not everybody sees that. And it seems to me those who write policies and make funding decisions, especially, don't see that for reasons I completely understand. You want to be accountable to how your money is being spent. But, I think the challenge is doing that in an environment that does not facilitate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think for me, the challenge is around coming to an understanding that the traditional structures are not going to work for you. They're not going to work for this work if you really want to make an impact. And I think that's a huge barrier in a system-focused profession like public health. It is a hard shift to understand that if you want to impact the community, you can't be a part of the system. And that is, in those systems, as Jarmichael said, like it's really, you're a part of it because that's where you were educated. That's where you were doing some of our first community-driven work. So it's a hard juxtaposition, a challenge, if you will, to understand that sometimes if you really want to make an impact, you have to be an outsider, an outlier, an early adopter to some of the most sustainable programs. They're not a part of the system. So it's a hard thing to realize for sure.
Yeah. Jarmichael, I can see your
Susan's pondering about something.
That's real.
I don't know.
This is the thing. Jennifer, Maudra, Corinna, Regina, we could all come together and say, hey, we have the solution for this, and we know exactly how we want to get this thing done. And I don't have a whole lot of money, but we can pull all our money together from this place and this place and this place, and we can make this thing happen. And we'll be on the same page. And then we'll take that mission to our decision makers. And the decision makers say, well, who's going to get the credit? Because y'all 5 just decided this, and I'm only going to put my money and my name on this if my name can be on the building. And that's where things start to fall apart. And those of us, again, at the grassroots level, have had to navigate how do we survive in this work when everybody wants the credit and all we want to do is save lives?
Yeah. Great question. Great question.
And so, so again, it's as Maudra said, it's moving beyond the system and finding alternative approaches to getting the job done. And at the end of the day, we don't care who gets the credit because we know that lives are being saved. We know the lives are being impacted. And for us, that's good enough. And there are folks that are still out there that good-natured, just at the bottom of my heart, that's not exactly what I want to see happen. Like, we're still out there, right? We just have to find our people.
Yeah. And not stop at the first no, right?
Lots of no's.
Or the third.
Or the 100th.
You know, if we're passionate about this, whatever it is, if we're passionate about it, we've got to have that perseverance and that what's the term I'm looking for? Anyway, but that ability to take those arrows in the back if you will.
Sometime in the front, Regina.
And in the front. Take those arrows and keep moving.
Well, I think that's exactly what we're talking about. I think, Regina, the word you're looking for is resilience, right?
Yeah.
So we're working with folks all the time who are always asked to be resilient.
Yeah.
And now we're ready to create something where folks don't have to be resilient to survive.
Right. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Corinna, what you thinking?
Yeah, no, when you had mentioned challenges and, I think what came to mind and what I've been challenged with and also kind of seeing from a new perspective, right, is, being a consultant and kind of being the one that's the problem solver, right? And I think a lot of us have sat in a space, especially in collaborations where you want to be the one that's solving the problem. But where the mindset shift changes is, what if you sit with the problem and don't have the solution? What if we look at this from, an angle, and this is the flexibility in, in collaboration and creating this space where we come together and co-create, but it really comes from listening with curiosity. It really comes from, maybe not having the solution, and being able to create spaces where people can bring up multiple different solutions and where things can change and shift. And so I think a lot of, periods right now where we're in the period of change and transition, we always will be, as not only in, in organizations and in our life, but, personally, we are constantly changing and shifting and looking at things from different perspectives. And I think that like I said, the creating that curious mindset to where can this go, and can I allow the space for others to be able to bring in, some different ideas, and can I also shift my mind to see it from their point of view? And that's really a big part of, collaborations. And the challenge sometimes is we always want to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Corinna, that makes me think about just like having to get, and this is something I work on consistently and probably will for the rest of my life, but being comfortable with the messiness that happens. And so often, in any project I'm working on and people are coming together and sort of saying, well, what, this just feels weird. This doesn't feel right. That's okay. You can still move forward. So I like to sort of say, like, just, it's okay to move forward imperfectly, like with just as you are, as you are doing your work, it's just, you have to let go of that. I have to let go of that perfection. And allow for the messiness. And it happened, like, when there are things that are just not solvable right in that moment, and it has to be okay.
A thought that occurs to me, and I appreciate what you just said, Jennifer, and what everybody has said up to this point. It's been amazing. But a thought that occurs to me is, as a creator, you've come to this project, this corporation you've created, this whatever that you're doing, with this passion that you have, and you think you have the solution. And so as the creator, you're bringing other people into the fold, but other ideas are coming in that are kind of not exactly what you were thinking. How do you handle that? And how did that being open, not being locked into my way or the highway, but truly collaborating with those that you are inviting into your world? Has that been a challenge for anybody here to kind of let go a bit and collaborate? Maudra, you're nodding your head.
I mean, everybody's nodding because everybody's feeling it.
Yeah.
I think, the best times in collaboration, is building alongside people that challenge my assumptions, that challenge my way of thinking and what I may believe. one of my first jobs was working in a school system, doing counseling, and marrying that work with public health. And what I was tasked to do and what ended up happening did not marry up at all. And those kids challenged my assumptions every day, all day. I don't know if y'all know, but late elementary, early middle school, they have so many opinions. And it taught me not only to pivot, but just to really think, this is my way, it's not the way. It is what I believe, but it is not the only belief. And so if it doesn't challenge me, then is it even real? Will it work? Will it work for everybody?
Right.
Because everything doesn't work for everybody all the time.
Isn't that the truth?
So
yeah. Anybody else experience that kind of that challenge to what you thought was the perfect solution?
Oh yeah. Because I've been working for a while, and so I've learned from mistakes, and I want to help you learn from my mistakes. But you probably won't, and so I have to recognize that. And I think there's a certain level of the humility that you develop when if you go into a collaboration and you recognize, for me anyway, over and over again, my idea was not the best in the room, and maybe what came out of it was several ideas together, and that was the best in the room. But if I had solved this on myself, oof, goodness gracious, and so I think there's almost for me, like a recognition that I have to have input and other ideas and different perspectives, because we won't go as far.
Yeah.
But boy, I do struggle with it on a daily basis.
Is that right? The term that comes to my mind is exponential, and that there's an exponential benefit to collaboration. Right? When we allow other ideas in, the opportunities are limitless.
Yeah.
Shared ownership and mutual respect will get you so far.
Yeah.
I when you asked that question, what I pictured was the architect coming up with this like house design, right? And so in your mind's eye, you know exactly what this house should look like, but you have no experience in plumbing, no experience in electrician, bricklaying, all the things that's going to take to actually make this thing come to life.
Right.
You have to have other folks involved. Otherwise, I can draw a pretty picture, but make this thing actually come to life is going to be far from the end result if we're not all working together. And so,
great analogy.
We all have a role to play, and you might actually you might see the vision, right? You might see exactly where this should go, but you're not going to get there on your own.
Yeah. You can be the visionary, but you need help to get it across the line, for sure.
And what comes along with that is the electrician comes and says, hey, well, you can certainly do this, but it's going to cost X, Y, or Z dollars. Or you can do this, but it won't be nearly as safe if we do it this way. Or, all the things that come along with everyone's individual expertise, they're going to help to push the project along in a way that is ultimately going to come together the way that you like it to. Yeah. It's sometimes even better than you imagine, because now you have everyone's expertise, and you drew it this way, but some other experts just says, hey, if you do it that way, it's going to fall over when the next storm comes, right? And so you have pieces as well.
So we need to be humble.
And I think I deliberately I have to ask myself for everything that comes up, do I have to weigh in on this, or will it be okay if I don't? And I intentionally try to make more decisions to not make a decision, and so
are we talking about empowering our team to make those decisions? Is that what you're talking about, Jennifer?
Yeah. Yes. And it's practice for somebody who likes control like I do, it takes real practice
Yeah,
and deliberation to
it
say,
does.
like, I'm not
Yeah.
weighing in on that one.
Yep. But that's
And
part of what makes you a great leader is when you can do that.
yeah, and knowing your role, I think, Jarmichael and Jennifer kind of hinted to that, is what is my role in this? And
Exactly.
something that I've learned in all the different roles I've played in the collaboration, whether the facilitator, whether the mentor, the consultant, and now coach, is that what are those specific roles? As a consultant, you're a problem solver, right? You are paid, hired to be the problem solver.
Right.
As a mentor, you are the expert. You are the person that is pouring whatever expertise you have into another. You're bringing that to the table. What I learned is different about coaching is we're a guide. When we look at different individuals, and something we can learn from leading like a coach is, as a guide, is that we see everybody as whole, capable, and resourceful.
Mm,
You have the power of the solutions. And so working in a community health space where we empower community members is looking at them as whole, capable, and resourceful.
I love that.
And that we sit with you and guide you, but you have the answer.
Yeah.
You have it. So how can we act as a better facilitator in these collaborative experiences and help empower people to voice what is best for them?
Excellent. I love it. This has been a great conversation. I so appreciate all of your input and hope that our listeners, I think they will, I hope that they found some real value here today, and especially those who are considering how they can do something in their own communities, that this might give them some answers and some direction that they can make it happen, what they're attempting to create. So we're going to move into our wrap-up round, which Miss Corinna is going to run. And Corinna, I want you to call on everybody for their final thoughts on collaboration and their contact information. While you're all giving that, I will take your contact information and put it out in the public chat for you. Okay. So Corinna, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, so definitely, I'll call on, what, Jarmichael, you went last time, so I'm going to have you go first. So what is something, your call to action or your, advice for others?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always tell you, leave you all with this. Your network is your net worth. Protect, invest in it, and nurture it. And you can reach me at info@jarmichaelharris.com or at jarmichaelharris.com, my website.
All right. Maudra, do you want to leave us with some inspiration?
Sure. I would say the joy of my career is facilitation, and the most meaningful progress in my career happened when I stopped trying to do work alone. And I started building alongside people that agreed and people that didn't. Women are the center of our communities. They are the lifeline, and they are who I serve. You can reach me at info@mrbpublichealth.com and all platforms at MRB Public Health.
All right. And last but definitely not least, Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm having so many thoughts from the discussion, but I think, what I would share is I have, so it's been 5.5 years since starting We Public Health, and I am the founder and managing director, but I by no means did it by myself. I was guided by about 10 women. And so the entire journey of the last 5 years has been about co-creating and collaborating. And I have never been in my close to 30 years of public health, I have never been as professionally fulfilled as I am right now because of the collaboration and cooperation I get to have with so many beautiful, talented people. So I can be reached at wepublichealth.com, wepublichealth.com. I am also on LinkedIn if you just search by my name.
Well, thank you all. I definitely appreciate your conversation today. And Regina, I don't know if, and I see Alyssa is in the room. I don't know maybe if they are able to speak or have any questions or anything they'd like to add. I don't know.
Let's go ahead and do your final thoughts, and then we'll open that up and see if she has any questions for us. How's
Definitely.
that? Your contact info.
Yeah, definitely. So
That's okay.
I would leave you with the question that I asked in the beginning is, who are you becoming in this season of leadership? And, identifying, where are you centering that alignment? And then what is your role now? And what do you want it to be? As you move forward in this new year. And one thing I believe in is that leadership is co-created rhythms that empower equity, inclusive direction. And so how can you create those environments and conditions for others as well as yourself to be able to co-create? And so I leave you with my information and contact. It's, as Regina's putting in there, info@CREIDconsultingllc.com. Also have a Facebook link and LinkedIn.
Excellent. All right. Thank you all. And let's open it up here. We'll ask Alyssa if she has any questions for us. Alyssa, I'm unmuting you. Are you still with us, Alyssa?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Any questions or comments?
You know what? I don't have any questions, right? I think in the midst of, the full conversation, I probably thought of a question but couldn't ask it at the time. So it's all as well.
Okay.
But I do want to say that I've truly enjoyed the conversation and the perspective that you guys have shared from a consultant or from a coaching perspective. I, on the other hand, is not a coach. I've had the pleasure of working with Corinna, and it's so nice to hear the other side of it because it allows me to think outside of the box when I'm asking for mentorship, coaching advice, or someone to do consulting. These are some of the things that I need to consider in identifying someone that will be the right fit for our organization. So thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to listen, right?
We're so glad you were here.
I as well. Thank you. Corinna, you're awesome.
Thank you.
And our guest that has just joined by phone, if you could put in the chat your name for us and who invited you, and then we will unmute you to ask any questions that you have. If you go up on the right-hand side, it says chat and click on that everyone button and just type in there your name and who invited you. I'll give you just a second to do that. I want to express again, while we're waiting for that, my gratitude to everyone for being here today, for Corinna being our guest co-host. Amazing panelists that you've brought, Corinna. This has been a great discussion. And I'm sure that when we go podcast on this, it will be a great episode for that as well. And, it's been broadcast today on LinkedIn, so folks can watch it there, and we'll all share it on our platforms. And I'm not seeing anything coming in from this person, so we're not going to unmute there. But with that, we will thank all of you for joining us today. All of our viewers, thank you. We appreciate you being here, appreciate your support in this, and we'll see you next time on the Collaboration Conversation.